Welcome back, guys, to JB ADV. My name is Jacob again, and it was in need of a wash. Hope you guys enjoyed that little wash intro, but the most important part of today is going to be my review. That's right, this is going to be a very early 1 month, first 500 mile review of my 2019 CRF 250L. I'm just going to start this right off by going straight into the maybe a handful of cons that I have. This is going to be my maybe 5 things, 5 cons. I don't know, we'll see how many I get to, but let's just jump right into it, starting with number 1, the gearing. From the factory, this bike comes with a 14 tooth in the front, 40 tooth in the rear. Now, I went ahead and the first initial thing I did, swap the front to a 13, and see a lot of people do that. So that added a tremendous amount of torque. If you guys watch any of my previous videos so far, you will see that I've been riding around with a 13 in the front, 40 in the back. I now went ahead and I swapped over to a 42 now in the rear as well. The gearing on this bike, the bike gets its nickname heavy, underpowered. It's only a 250. You know what, there's a lot of 200s, there's a lot of 250s out there, and they're all great. This bike, just by a simple gearing change of a 13 to 42 or a 1340, we can get lost in numbers for days, but in all honesty, it feels like I got like 50 more cc's on this bike now. Off-road, if you're going to be doing a lot of off-roading more than road riding, I would say go with the 13 in the front, 42 in the back. If not, leave the 14 in the front and just go all the way up like a 45 or 48 in the back. Go nuts with it. It's not a lot of money to get some of these mods done. I think I spent 18 bucks on the front sprocket and 22 on the rear, and it took about a half hour of my time. These birds are crazy. My second con to this bike is gonna be the seat. And it's not even that bad, but I have to include it. I have to for one main thing. I ripped it within the first 500 miles I had this bike. Is it uncomfortable? Well, that's up to you. I mean, I've sat on DRZs, I've sat on all the KTM models, well, most of them. I've sat on the new beta bikes that everybody's freaking out on. I've sat on the other Suzukis, the DRs and the DRZs, like I said earlier. I've sat on the KLXs, I believe they're called. I've sat on all these bikes, even the 450L I've sat on. All of them were harder than this seat, for the most part. That's not like the TW200s are really comfy and stuff. Man, it's a lot wider than a 450L seat. It is softer by a long shot. The only thing I wish they could do for this seat to make it a lot better, put some thicker material in there, please, Honda, if you're listening. Just because really the rip is just totally unnecessary. That was from my boot getting off the bike, like really. And add some grippiness to it. Add a nice grip top to it, like the 450Ls. That would take care of that. My next con to add to the list would be the suspension. And once again, this is gonna be totally up to you. If you guys have a chance to test drive one of these, because one of your buddies has one, do it. I let a couple of my buddies already ride this thing so that they could see what they like, their perspective of it, and they kind of agreed with me on some of these things, but you know what? It's manageable. Like I said, I weigh 145 to 155 pounds, depending on gear, depending on maybe the party the night before, so on and so forth. But you know what? It's soft. It is. It's one of the softest suspensions I've ever ridden on for the weight of this bike, and I actually don't know the weight of the bike. If I find the info, I'll post it up on the screen while I'm talking about it. I forget off the top of my head, but the suspension's really soft. And as a new rider, you might like that, because going on the nice little fire roads when you first start out going up, you won't feel a single bump. You really won't. And it's great. But when you start pushing this bike, that's when it goes. I've already bottomed this bike out twice. Once was because I was dumb and went off way too big of a jump. Landed it, but I still bottomed it. And the other one was shocking to me. I just hit a very large rock going up a rock hill, like a pipeline trail almost, fire road, aggressive fire road trail. And I was going up probably about 40 miles an hour, and it bottomed the rear right out. I have not bottomed the front out yet, but the rear I have. I wish that there was a tunable suspension on this bike, but if there was, your price is going up. One more con, so we're up to 4. That's all I have for this bike is 4 cons, okay? That's the tires. And you know what? They're gonna wear out and you're gonna replace them anyway. But the tires, great for on-road. They're glorified road tires that just, I don't even know if I can say glorified road tires. They're road tires. They're 90% road. They got some knobbies on them, but you don't even feel them on the road. They make a little bit of noise, but you barely feel them. You go off-road and it's like it sees dirt a mile away and that's it, you lost traction. That's pretty much it though. I mean, you guys can research, everybody goes with D606, the Kenda Trackmasters, the MT21s. Those are the top 3 that I can think of that everybody goes with for these bikes, and that's for off-road only. You guys go to Supermoto package or you buy this bike planning on going to Supermoto, this is irrelevant for you anyway. But for the road, for starting out, they'll be great, but I could already tell you they're starting to wear down. I can already see some chunks missing out of them. Just throw a little bit better tires on them, please, Honda. But that's it for my cons list, guys. Only 4. Other than that, everything's a plus. So let's get right into the pros. Okay, guys, it's actually starting to sleet outside now. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Probably, but I'm gonna move a little closer to the mic so you guys have a little bit better chance of hearing me. But let's go right into the pros. Pros, the price. Right off the bat, that's why I bought this bike. I got it on a leftover deal right in the beginning of February of 2020 this year. Like I said, this is a 2019, and I got it for 4,500 bucks. That's the sticker, that's not out the door price, but 4,500 bucks brand new, no mileage on it at all. I actually called them up 9 o'clock in the morning when the dealer opened, and I said, do you have it? They said yes, and I said, is it built? They said no, and I said, well, I'm taking it home today, so please build it for me and I'll be there in 2 hours. And I drove an hour and a half away, and I picked it up, and an hour later inside the place, awesome people, I walked out with the bike. So it was built that day for me that morning. That's an awesome deal, guys. It's not even built sitting on their showroom floor. You could get these things for that same price. You just gotta find the deals. That's really the main reason. I could have gone, I was originally looking at a WR250. I just can't see myself spending $65,000, $7,000 out the door, maybe even more than that, depending on where you're shopping. I just can't see myself spending that much money for a first bike of mine. Yes, the the WR is a better bike. It is. It's got more power, better suspension. I think it's tunable suspension, actually. It's just better all around, but man, for the price, can you really beat 4,500 bucks for this type of bike? I don't think so. Another pro of mine, the dash. My buddy just... Supermoto out on the road. It's raining, bud. You better get home. I think that's why he's moving pretty fast. Back to the topic, though. The dash. I love it. I know it's a silly thing, but it's a pro of mine. Go look at its 450L. My buddy of mine just bought a 450L right after me, 2 weeks after I bought this one, because he loved this bike and wanted a little bit more power. He was shocked at how much this dash actually does. I believe it's the same dash as a Grom too. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it is. But I have a fuel gauge. I have a tachometer on the new models. I think that was 17 and up. You got the time, you got everything else, but it's just a nice feature. That's all, and I like it. So thanks, Honda. My next pro for this bike has to do with this guy right here. And if you guys don't know and you're researching, the 250L, unlike the 450L, comes with a little compartment for storage. Now, it's not much. Oh, I did a bad job of cleaning. As you can see, mud will get in there, water will get in there, but you got a little bit of a toolkit. The toolkit isn't much though. It's literally 2 Allen keys. Thanks, Honda. Thanks. But I keep my registration in there. That's about it, really. I know it's a silly thing, but I like it. And the other bikes don't have it. Now, I know those are just 2 silly little things that I talked about, the dash and the little thing, but I like that little storage compartment. I like it. But other than that, I mean, what else is there really to say? You guys know all the other info if you guys are researching this and genuinely want my opinion. So here's my opinion on 500 miles. I beat the crap out of this thing, and I'm being honest with you. The first 20 miles were brutal. I'm gonna be completely honest, just because I was so excited I owned this thing that I couldn't resist just hammering down on the highway. And ever since then, it's been just the same throughout. I've always been a Honda guy. They last forever, they run forever, and this motor specifically, the maintenance is so low on this bike, which is amazing. And it's time for the first oil change. So now I'm gonna do the first oil change, and I'm probably gonna be a little bit better with this. I'm gonna probably do like every 1,000 miles, to be completely honest with you. I know that's totally overkill, but that's what I want to do. I want to make sure this runs forever. This bike hasn't skipped a single beat. Starts up every time. Every time it falls over, I get back up, it starts right back up, and it keeps moving just like it did right before it dropped. I mean, that's just how it is. I've sunk this thing already up to probably about the exhaust pipe, I'd say. I don't know, I know my feet were hitting water, but I've sunk this thing in water that deep already, muddy water, and it was fine. And actually I made it right through the mud hole with these crappy tires that I was just talking about. So with new tires, I can't wait to see what this thing does. Man, it may not have that much power, but it gets the job, it just gets it done. I get to the same spots everybody else does, and it's just as fun. So that's really all that matters. To wrap this video up, guys, what I can tell you is, so far in 500 miles and in a month of just absolutely putting this thing through its paces, as a new rider would. I'm sure there's many of you that could do a lot better than I can on the trails. What I'm going to say is, if you're looking to buy this bike, you're more than likely probably a new rider, right? Or you've been riding something and you just want something of a low displacement, lower seat height that can just get you from point A to point B, and maybe you want to take your chance at dabbling with a little bit of fire roads or a little bit of off-road. This bike will do it, and you'll have a blast doing it, and it'll last forever. I'm riding the wheels off this thing, but it's still lasting. Do your oil changes, do your maintenance. It won't skip a beat. This bike's been great so far, and I can't wait to show you guys what this thing can do in more of my videos. So if you guys haven't already, smack that subscribe button, hit the like button, join us. This is an awesome community so far, and I thank each and every one of you so far. And if you guys want to see a closer in-depth look at what I've done already with the bike, some of my cruises I've done, some of my little rides, some of my modifications, check back on my modifications playlist. It'll be in there. So thank you guys for watching. This was just my quick little 1, 2, 3 of some cons. We found 4 of them. I did anyway. Pros, I mean, the pros are all the other things you guys have already seen. I mean, you guys are probably already watching a bunch of other people ride this bike. Go pick one up. It's a great bike. Thanks, guys. Sorry for the rain noise, but I just want to shoot some content today, and this thing needed a wash, and it's gonna get wet out here anyway. That's why I didn't dry it. So thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next one.